Hello, guys. We didn't have sound because we're still like running around figuring what's going on when we're starting. We're 97 now. If you guys are part of any Facebook groups for this game or have friends that would like to watch, please share the link. We would greatly appreciate it. This match is actually going to be a rematch of yesterday, where Hoban came up on top. Paul actually was thinking of dropping, and he said, I'll just play it out. And he ended up winning out and making top, so good for him.
Ask me a lot of questions about like not the match. So ask me things about like prices and format and stuff. Yeah. So okay.
All right. All right, guys. We are just about to get started with round one of the top 16 of Ultra Reality Games Circuit Series St. Louis. Right now, what you guys are seeing are Patrick Hoban versus Paul Cooper. They are doing a Dragon Ruler mirror match. Patrick Hoban playing a bit of a Blue Eyes engine in his deck, though, running things like Dragon Shrine, Blue Eyes, White Dragon, and the Whitestone of Legend. And he's had success with it throughout the weekend, obviously. But we'll see if he can take a game against Paul Cooper again. They did play in Swiss yesterday with Paul Cooper taking the loss. So we'll see if he can get his revenge today. Either way, Kayla Nelson here. I am joined by Alex Vincent.
How are you guys doing?
And Alex, we had a new format announced a couple days ago. How do you feel about that?
I feel pretty good about it. I don't think outside of dragons and spell books taking a little bit of a hit, I don't really see that impacting what we all knew was going to be important next set. Going into something like February, we all know after the new set comes out that things like Gravekeepers, Brujins are going to be very, very, very OP. So, I mean, you're going to be taking Dragons down a notch. You're going to be taking Spellbooks back from where Spellbooks would have been probably the next best deck, in my opinion, once Dragons take this big hit. But once Dragons do take that hit and Spellbooks are no longer that relevant, you have like another month before the new set comes out to really you have a really cool format in there where I don't really know what's going to be the best deck. Maybe water. I feel like a lot of people are going to jump on the water bandwagon right out of the gate.
Mm-hmm.
But even if you know people all are jumping on that water bandwagon, I don't know if that's necessarily going to be the best deck. There's a lot of good decks in the format. Ghost Tricks might have a shot. I mean, zombies are going to probably be something pretty cool for that couple weeks. But until then, I don't know.
All right. So obviously you work the stores for Ultra Reality Games. One of the things that you're probably better at than most are going to be prices for cards. Are there any cards within turn of the format that are going to jump up in price? Obviously, other than Super
Right.
Magician of Faiths.
Well, I mean, and Lone Fires and people, Gravekeepers are obviously going to be going up in price just based on the fact that the next set's coming out. That was already going to happen, but now it might be even more so. Uh, now that we see that a lot of other decks aren't going to be as popular. So I think that more than what's going to be going up, it's more important to pay attention to what will spike and then drop again. Specifically, I think people are going to really go after plants right out of the gate, and I really don't think that plants are going to be able to compete in that new format against Boojins and Gravekeepers, especially considering Gravekeepers are going to be a deck. The same thing goes for zombies. People are going to be investing into zombies, and zombies not really going to be that popular, especially because Gravekeepers are again going to be a deck. Um, I see someone talking about Magician of Faith. Um, I don't really see it impacting the format as like really that much. I mean, it'll be good in spell books, but it's still not as good as Blue Boy. And I mean, yeah, it'll be good in Gravekeepers too. You can get that. You can drop tribute and stuff, but I mean, I don't think it's that relevant. I think it's good, but I don't think it's OP at all. I think it'll be a little bit like Tsukiyomi. It's popular now that it's back, but it's not going to be format changing at all. There's not anything really to get back. I mean, Darkhold, they could have brought Darkhold to 2, and I don't think it would have changed the format at all.
Absolutely, I completely agree with that. Now, looking at the match here real quick, just getting off a little bit to a slow start. Patrick Hoban getting some sword play going on. Banishing Tempest, believe searching just another Tempest. We're going to special summon Redox by banishing Tempest and another dragon that I couldn't quite see.
Was that other Tempest that he banished off of that?
It was another Tempest that he banished off that, so he isn't going to get the Tempest search. But he looks like he banished a Blaster along with the Tempest. So interesting. This could mean that that he could have Return already in his hand, which I believe I actually saw. So he's just trying to get dragons out there to just go for the quick kill on the next turn. But he did summon Whitestone Legend, which is another tuner for the deck. So he synchro summons Scrap Dragon. Now gets to add that Blue Eyes to his hand, which could mean that he does have which could mean has a trade in the hand possibly to go along with that.
And that Scrap Dragon play is a very confident play. I feel that Paul definitely knows that Pat has the stones right now. He wouldn't be making that kind of a play right out of the gate without that. So
Exactly. Just getting rid of one of your color searches is incredibly, it says something in
right,
in the mirror match.
right.
So see what Paul does here. Just looks like we're going to set 3 after drawing. Very passive play, but also very strong, possibly just trying to scare Patrick there. If it was MST or something, he may have just blown the card, the face down away right away, unless Paul has a trap stun or
Right.
7-tool set.
Well, I mean, he could also be daring, Pat. He doesn't really know what that back row is. He could be daring him to trap stun. He has to have a pretty good idea that that would be either return or something pretty relevant right here. So, but,
Absolutely.
okay.
Yeah, I guess it is kind of quiet. So apparently we need to quiet it down because they almost were able to start making out what we were saying on the live stream. So we're just going to be a little bit quieter here. So Summoning Blaster going to be banishing the Whitestone and the
Last call
Redox.
for the Gold Start tournament. If you haven't registered for the Gold Start tournament, last call
I
for
know someone just said
registration.
hashtag 7 tools. That would be a very strong play here. And the same, so was Solemn Warning, which is just as likely.
Okay. So just going to go swing in for a good 5,600 damage total. Bringing Paul pretty low at this point.
Drop a
So
24 right out of there.
playing 7 tools or solemn becoming an extremely dangerous idea. So there goes 6
Oh, there you
cents.
go.
Busted card of the format.
I don't know how I feel about that card being released into this format. It's very beneficial to Dragons. I don't know.
So it looks like Paul just drew 6 cards.
Well, this game just took a shocking turn.
So there's 6 cards in Paul, or that's 6 additional cards in Paul Cooper's hand. Definitely not what Patrick wanted to have happen, I imagine. Um, so this will be interesting to see what happens. So between the end phase of a turn, Paul's drawn 7 new cards.
That's crazy.
It is. And that's why I'm so glad that that card is going to be completely gone after this format.
I don't think it's very fair that they would ban a lot of cards that were OP like that. They're just busted game changers and then bring another one into the format. You got rid of Ultimate Offerings, you got rid of Gateway, and then you're going to bring something like this back in. I'm not a big fan of that. So, I mean, it's good to see it go. And it's not even good in a lot of decks. It's just particularly good in Dragons.
Absolutely, because it's a win-win either way. It's like
Right.
putting it in Lightsworn. If you draw 6 cards, well, I just drew 6 cards. If you mill 4 cards, well, I just milled 4 Lightsworn. So
I saw a lot of people trying to play it in Chainburn. I really think it's a terrible play in Chainburn. You need every card that you have, and it just isn't that good in a lot of decks. But it's just crazy in Dragons.
Absolutely. It's almost always guaranteed a win-win in
Right.
Dragons. So Blaster and Guard being discarded to destroy either Scrap Dragon or one of the back rows. And since Scrap Dragon can be run over, I'm thinking he may shoot for one of the back rows. Yep. So they're hit the Compulse, which would have shut down, Paul's plays whenever he goes to try and run over the Scrap Dragon, but we'll see what actually happens here.
That was an interesting decision by Paul. He then read the second card, probably thinking that he didn't open setting that return, and that he would have set something, assuming it would get blown out, and then set the return in the second turn as trying to bait out that return with a 7 tools or something with that first card set.
Mm-hmm.
So that was pretty interesting.
Absolutely. So they're just going to activate Ravine, pitching a Redox, loading up another color in the grave. By using Blaster's destruction ability, he has limited himself from being able to use that dragon to get to the field, so at most we'll be seeing Tempest, Redox, and Tidal hitting the field.
I mean, you can still do a lot with 3 colors unlocked, but you can't make that crazy blowout play with that.
Exactly.
But I didn't think we really saw that coming right out of the gate here anyway, even with the +7.
Exactly. Paul's already in a pretty bad losing position with 2,400 life points to 8,000. In any swing and momentum, if Patrick survives his turn and has a good momentum swing, he can just blow Paul Cooper out for that 2,400 damage, no problem.
And this is a good example of the argument between momentum and card advantage. Sometimes card advantage isn't enough. So
Mm-hmm.
sometimes just putting pressure on your opponent, whether that's field presence or life point advantage, is just as relevant as having a huge amount of card advantage. So
Absolutely. So banishing Corseska and Tempest for Redox. Getting a Tempest Search, maybe? Yeah, getting a Tempest Search. Just imagine we're going to see that Tempest go away here pretty soon for possibly a title summon.
I can see that Debris Dragon in his handy, maybe trying to set up simple play with that.
There are lots of good things he could do with that with a Debris Dragon in his hand. So playing another Ravine. If you dump, I don't believe that there is a tuner in the grave right now. So if he dumps a tuner there with
Oh
debris,
yeah, see,
or
I
with,
thought right, that Corsessa he removed. So
yep, so if he sends a tuner right now by chance, or maybe he still doesn't have access to title.
I don't think he does have access to title. I was trying to look for that in his hand, but I didn't see it.
Yep, so there's
Oh,
the title
there it
right
is.
there. So I had to see it at some point. There's the debris. Maybe he does have a 1 and we missed it. Ah, he has the guard, so he does still have the level 1 tuner. So making a level 8.
The decision here will really be telling about what Paul has face down.
Absolutely. He baited on Spark Dragon for a minute. Let's see if he actually ends up going with that, because he still has 4 or 5 cards in hand.
I mean, just there he had the option of Big Eye take the Scrap Dragon.
Mm-hmm.
So whatever he has must be better.
So banishing Redox and Guard for title. Making a Star Eater, it looks like. Attack for 400 and 2,500 as well. So not as big of a play, I imagine, as Paul would like to have made here, but he's still going to set 3 more cards here, possibly.
I mean, he has to know that that last card has to be returned. So
He does run Seven Tools of the Bandits, so that if he hasn't drawn into one by now,
And Pat
then
has to know about that too. So.
exactly. They've had access to the deck lists, so they are fully well aware of what it is. So now Pat's going to bring back Scrap Dragon. There's Vanity's Emptiness, followed by Return and the traps and the trap.
And that scan. Oh, right there.
Yep, absolutely. So while we're waiting for them to get side decking, we're going to go cut to a quick commercial break. We'll be right back, guys. Just remember, this is top 16 of ARG St. Louis. We are watching Patrick Hoban versus Paul Cooper. Paul Cooper taking game one with a clutch Vanity's Emptiness followed by 7 Tools the Bandit on a return from the different dimension. Let's see if this can continue in the game and Paul can make up for his loss yesterday in Swiss, or if Patrick's still going to reign supreme. All right, guys, welcome back to ARG Circuit Series St. Louis. We're in top 16 with Patrick Hoban versus Paul Cooper. Looks like they are going to be doing a gentleman's game here, siding out Return and Sixth Sense going into the next match. So no more Sixth Sense for 6, and we'll see if we actually have a good game between them.
I do have to say though that without Sixth Sense, without Return, this matchup has to favor Pat because of his shorts. I
Absolutely.
think that his shorts are definitely going to be what might put him over here.
Is he wearing the shorts today?
Um,
He is
it,
wearing pants, but it's okay.
It is frigid. He could be actually wearing the shorts underneath the pants. That could
Most
be
likely.
part of the strategy.
If I'm not mistaken, those shorts were around $10,000. Is that right? Is
I
that what
believe
the last?
I believe so. I believe so.
Absolutely. So now while we're waiting for this to get started, let's go ahead and do a bit more discussion on the ban list. One of the cards that came back that was a format-defining card for a very long time, Tour Guide at 3 again. Do you think that's going to raise its price? Is it going to stay the same? Has Tour Guide just fallen off the edge of the earth? What's up with that card?
Well, yes and no. Tour Guide going to 3 isn't that relevant right now. There was a card that I really saw that might have had a chance to come back, and that was Crush Card. I thought that was maybe a reasonable card to come back, at least in this last format, in the format before that. Especially in that Dragon Spellbook format, that was definitely a card that could have come back. It would have balanced a lot of things, and I think it would have given a lot of other decks a chance, like Inzectors. Bringing up Plague to 3, though, that's not really something you can do, or Tour Guide to 3. The banning of Sangan hurts Tour Guide, so having it at 3 really doesn't do all that much, but the bigger than banning Sangan is the banning of Carriers at Mighty. Without that, there's not like that crazy level 3 option that you can go into.
Mm-hmm.
That Zen Mighty really broke the card. It made windups, but not just windups. It made all of that rank 3 uh, format that defined the format for like over a year. Really, it was like a year and a half that rank 3s were just the B's and E's. And it's not that way anymore. It's really rank 7s, but we're not going to see that anymore. I can maybe see us moving back towards just ground and pound style with that a very slow summon set, a bunch of back rows format with Bujins and Gravekeepers coming up. So
Absolutely.
any kind of a deck that explodes while controlling is going to be a good anti-meta, I guess, option, but you're also going to see Evil Swarms fall off right off the map now that Dragons are gone. So if anyone's out there, sell your Kirkions now.
They weren't exactly worth all that much to begin with, unfortunately. I mean,
Hey,
what were they at? Like
uh,
8 maybe?
yeah,
So
they were about 8. Sombre fell too. Sombre will probably pick back up a little bit, but I mean, maybe Constellars is that deck. Maybe Constellars is that answer because they can play to the field. They're not really.
yeah. Constellar and Evil Storm are still two of the best rank 4 toolbox decks in the
Right.
game, and with two very powerful rank 4 monsters coming out in Legacy of the Valiant,
Right.
with the new Evil Swarm Excite Knight and the C10 or the number 101 Silent Honors Knight, they're very very powerful cards. So we may see, some good or some power come from them in any rank 4 decks. But
I still can't see Evil Swarms being a top contender anytime soon. It would really take a Rabbit coming to even 3. I just don't see that deck being that great. Well, maybe if Mermills got very popular, it would have a shot, but not right now.
absolutely, in such a diverse format, Evil Swarm do have a very very difficult time being able to pull up anything. As we can see when they were first released during water format, and they thought they were going to kill water format completely, and nothing happened.
I mean, I think it's pretty telling when you look at some of the player vendors and what cards that they stash pretty frequently, and you start to realize what cards can actually come back. I know a lot of very, very, very good players, one of them being Steve Silverman. Also, myself, I like to stash cards myself, but I stash Tour Guide, but he was stashing Crush Card for a very long time. That's a card that, you know, if it ever does come back, you're going to make a huge plus on. I felt that same way about Tour Guide. I know a lot of people felt that way about Magician of Faith. But a card looking forward is Goyo Guardian could do that. And I think Trishula. Trishula is, right now I don't think would break the format, especially with Dragons gone. Plants would be a lot better. But going into the foreseeable next 4 months, I think that Trishula would have been fine to have back.
This is an interesting match between Paul and Pat right now.
Yeah.
Pat looks like he's got a handful of. He's got some draw power there, but not much. Not much to use it with. And Paul Cooper here with a set 4 start. MST in the end phase on a set compulse, and it's just setting cards and going. Looks like
Yeah.
both players have kind of a mediocre hand to deal with.
Them back rows are really giving Paul a huge edge here. He could have set Swag. Swag could be one of his major back row plans.
Absolutely. So he did draw Vanity's Emptiness, so that does give him a pretty big advantage if he can get something on the field.
And a Maxi as well, so even if Pat does go off, that Maxi is really going to impact the game.
Absolutely. Now, did
Paul
he
traps
actually?
everywhere.
I didn't see. Did he actually search for the redox?
I didn't see actually. I think he might have actually forgotten that.
Come on up to the stage. We'll teach you how to play Kaijudo. It's a great game. Going to get into it. It's going to be big. Come on.
So it looks like here we are actually having a demo for Kaijudo. So anyone who's at the event that is interested in learning about Kaijudo gets to go learn how to play that, set up some shields, have some fun, and end the game with what isn't like the current meta, like dropping like 30 shields or something by the end of the game. It's some
Something
crazy.
like that. That game is really fun. I haven't really played competitively at all, but Bobby's given me a chance to play against him, and with his little pre-made decks, and that game was very, very fun.
Very cool. Very cool. Hoping this game can get that way again. Well, this game has still been fun, even in this tiresome format. But I'm hoping that it can get even more fun in the coming weeks as people are getting prepared for the next format on January 1st.
I mean, people are never satisfied whether the game was just crazy fast or the game's about to really become kind of crazy slow. People are going to get bored with that too. People hate stun formats, and that's what we're really going to end up with soon. So.
Absolutely. So chain XC to a Redox special summon by discarding a Redox and a Mac. I couldn't tell what the other one. It may have been a Max C. Just to get something on the field. Patrick staring down, 4 back rows back there. Now, with the Dragons at 1, do you think we're going to be seeing more or less of them in pretty much every other deck out there? So like with Redox being able to discard himself in another Earth to special summon get a Monster Reborn style effect, Blaster being able to discard and pop. Are we going to see more of them in the theme decks, or are we going to see less of them now that they're only at one?
I mean, you're going to see them in certain theme decks. You're not going to see them in every theme deck. Obviously, anything that involves light and dark, you're not going to see them in. But with Redux, it's good in a lot of stuff. I mean, it's good in Geargia. It's good in Karkuri. Um, it's a good card. I mean, a lot of them are. Tidal is just good because it's in water. You can play it in water. Probably the biggest thing that they did to hurt water was bringing Tidal to one. That does hurt that deck.
Mm-hmm.
Tidal just is a very broken card in that. And a lot of people are saying that they could bring the babies to one too, but the babies, they're too crazy. Um, like specifically, I think like having Stream and Tidal in the water deck is nuts. And you could still play the whole dragon deck, and it makes the Chaos Dragons just crazy too. But this game has been pretty slow pace thus far. There's been a lot of setup going on, um, and things just really look. Honestly, I think things look pretty dismal for Pat right now. I mean,
There's just so much hand advantage in Paul Cooper's favor right now, and field
right.
advantage.
I
So
mean,
dropping
everywhere.
Max C against a Redux special summon by banishing Blaster and Tempest, or Tidal, sorry, Blaster and Tidal. So getting at least a 1-for-1 there. Let's see if Paul decides whether or not he's going to just continue going or just
Right.
stop with that.
Well, it's just had traps, traps, traps though.
But thanks to these summons, he was able to turn 2 potentially dead cards of Consonance into 4 new cards from his deck.
Yeah.
So he's dug really deep at this point. There isn't a return or a Sixth Sense to dig for anymore, but now he's got 5 back row, and I guarantee almost all of them are live. There may be one bluff that he set just in the beginning just to throw Pat off, but
Right.
for the most part, I guarantee all those are live. And for those just tuning in, this is a top 16 match between Patrick Hoban and Paul Cooper. Paul Cooper did take game 1 after going 6 cents for 6, followed by Vanity's Emptiness and a Trap Stun on return from a different dimension. And no damage has been dealt in this second game so far. They did both side out return and 6 cents, so we won't be having any just huge blowouts from that. We will see a fairly skill-intensive game here. People playing very differently whenever they know that return and 6 cents are not cards that they have to worry about. So it looks like Pat's really the one with the bluffs here, setting his 7 swords, just trying to compete with 5 back row here.
I mean, that was smart. It's always good to set something that's not necessarily live right now, but he really did need to at least make it look like he had something, with the fear that Paul could just go off at any moment here with his dragons. I don't know how many he has unlocked over there, but if he even unlocks 3 colors, he can really just tee off on Pat.
Absolutely. So dropping Max C on a Debris Dragon play, bringing back Kid Moto. So going to draw 1. And there's the Torrential Tribute. So no plays there. Pat could use Kid Moto's effect to bring a dragon from his hand and just not conduct a battle phase this turn, so he at least has something on the field.
I mean, he seems to have a lot of monsters in his hand right there.
Obviously,
I'm having trouble seeing which ones they specifically are.
mm-hmm.
Which colors did he unlock this turn?
I think he's got pretty much everything unlocked. I don't think he's used any of the
Okay.
colors yet.
All right.
So,
Yeah,
no, he did use the 7 sword to banish the
Okay.
Tempest, so he's locked out Tempest.
I thought he did use one of them.
Yeah, but he's unlocked everything else is ready to go. One of the questions I saw in the chat is, what is Patrick going to play in the next format? The 2 things that he's talked to me about playing are Water and Infernity. Infernity always being really good at the beginning of a format because they are trap intensive, but they also are they have extremely unfair things that they can do. They can just explode on the field with basically saying cards, a bunch of themed cards that say you can't play Yu-Gi-Oh.
I had the opportunity to talk to Pat about Infinity's more last format when he played them for the 2 3 months that he did, he actually topped 2 events with them. I really like Infernities. I think they're a very good deck. Uh, I think that you should play tuners in that deck. Not playing tuners in that deck, it's too easy to get run over. And I don't know, like I just don't see that deck being viable past um, you know January 24th. I just don't see that happening. So
Hmm.
someone also asked for Atlanta, what do you think the best decks are going to be? And I say to that, I think they're going to be Bujins and Gravekeepers, because Gravekeepers is such a powerful deck already, and then you add their ability to just activate 3 Infernity barriers, but except you get to keep a hand.
Hmm.
So I think that they're just that much better than Infernities. Necro Valley will always be on the field, and Necro Valley just says you cannot play certain decks in a format because Gravekeeper is a deck.
Absolutely.
So
So one of the interesting things that's been mentioned a couple times on this stream over the past day is that uh, the Royal Tomb of Necro Valley, just its requirements, as it's been translated so far, is a Gravekeeper and Necro Valley on the field, period. So theoretically, you could side deck the Royal Tomb
yes,
against Gravekeepers. What are your thoughts on that?
I think that's pretty cool. I mean, I don't know. I don't know how I feel about that. I mean, it seems pretty good. I'd have to test it. I haven't tested that yet. I mean, I definitely sided Gotham's emergency call back in X-Saber format, even if I wasn't playing X-Sabers. So it's definitely seems like a pretty good play. I don't know. I mean, if it ends up being like that, then it seems like like that would definitely be a card you would almost have to side. But that doesn't necessarily mean you should. If you're a very explosive deck that doesn't play a lot of traps, and I think a rogue deck there would have to, not play a whole lot of traps to try to overwhelm the opponent. So, if you're not a defensive, if you're not really playing defensively, and you don't really have a setup where you can afford to set traps, and you need all of the cards in your hand, it might not be a good thing to set those cards. So, I don't know.
Absolutely. So banishing a Tempest and a Maxi for a Redox play here, bringing back Trigon with a Debris, and I mean, uh, Paul has gone from having 5 cards set to having 1 card set through the course of the last turn, but Pat still has nothing on the field because of it. So we'll see what actually ends up happening with that. He's rocking with some cards in his hand, but looks like it's a lot of monsters that just aren't doing much for him right now. So we got Paul throwing down the big combo with with Ancient Fairy Dragon and Dragon Ravine, gaining 1,000 life points from blowing up his own Dragon Ravine, able to overlay it into anything that he wants at this point. So
And with Gravekeepers out, I think that Ancient Fairy Dragon will still be a very popular card if Synchro is still viable. So,
I think with Debris at 1, synchros become a little less viable,
right,
especially level 7 synchros, because that's the primary way for getting them out,
right.
was the Debris Dragon plays.
But I mean, you can also take a look at a deck like Karakuri's that has an explosive on-field presence that doesn't really rely on the graveyard too much.
Hmm.
You can also look at Geargia is kind of the same way. They don't really rely on their graveyard too much. Um, they can, they might be able to compete. I mean, and realistically, Necro Valley does not shut down water all that much. So,
It really doesn't. The biggest things that it's going to shut down are, and there's the
right.
match
Wow,
for Paul. So Paul gets his revenge on
so
Patrick Hoban,
that was a
moving
very
on the
decisive
top 8.
victory. But yeah,
Absolutely.
swag over shorts.
Absolutely. So Swag winning top 16 match, Paul Cooper versus Patrick Hoban. Paul will be moving on. Patrick will be taking his 16th or his top 16 prize. Still very happy about that, I should imagine. Top 16 being able to take 150 each. Yeah, 150 each. So nothing bad about that. But anyways, we will be back in just a little bit here. We're going to take a quick commercial break. We'll be right back after the break and
Sure.
for more top 8 madness here at ARG Circuit Series St. Louis.